Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. I wanted to get on here and talk with you about there's a video that's been circulating that they have on the news of two black men severely beating up a elderly white man who was suffering from dementia because I guess what he did, he mistook their car for his daughter's car. And you see these men, two big, black, strong men, walk up to this frail old man, walked up on him now because he's thinking it's his daughter's car. Now, think about this for a second. How many of us I know that I have actually walked up to a car that looked just like mine and it wasn't my car? And I can tell you right now that I was picking up my kids one day, and my car was there, and the door's unlocked for the children, and this girl opened the door and was getting ready to come into the car because she mistook my car for her mother's. So imagine someone with dementia, an elderly person, right? And you see a solid built black dude go up to this white man, grab him by his face and his neck, it looks like, threw him down on the ground. You see the man on the ground doing nothing, and then he proceeds to punch him. According to the reports, he punches the man 8 times and stomps him, while the other black guy stands by and does nothing. Guys, this is absolutely ridiculous. It is deplorable. It is disgusting. And I'm not going to side with somebody just because they're black. That is something that I have spoken about in past videos, guys. And I'm telling you that things are going to change. I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. Things are getting ready to change for black people because of people like this. A lot of times when we're being followed around in a store, or people don't want to service you, yes, sometimes it has to do with racism. But other times it's because we have people like these guys. You have an uncle, we have a friend, we have relatives that's built like and look like these guys. And when it's on a public stage showing black men beating up a white dude, an elderly person, it makes it bad for your brothers. It makes it bad for our uncles. It makes it bad for our friends, our sons. Because of these people that go out there and act like brute beasts. Sometimes you're not served in a restaurant because your black brothers and sisters, our brothers and sisters, go in there. And when I say that, I'm not talking about relatives, but other black people go in there and acting like sea donkeys, being rude, being disrespectful. And it makes it hard for us. A lot of times people are hesitant to hire black people now because you have black people that go there, don't do their jobs, being lazy, and wanting to sue, and everything is racist when the boss just wants you to do your job. I've also spoken in a video previously about the platform that black people have, where now you can be heard, where now people want to hear what you're talking about, right? And instead of using this time to educate other people on black culture and about yourself and your history and things such as the reality of redlining when you're trying to get houses in certain neighborhoods and you can't, instead of using these opportunities to improve and get better material for schools in urban areas, instead of imploring and asking for updates of our textbooks, so the only thing black people are so that slavery is not the only thing black people can learn about. We're not going to dismiss that these things have happened, but textbooks needs to also show successful black people, shows not just a few pages, but actual showing the scientists and the doctors and surgeons and the astronauts and the first pilot and the Moors and all of that. Instead of people pushing for that, people are yelling and screaming and always hollering racism. Instead of doing these things, they're insulting and abusing white people on platforms. People are using, a lot of black people today are using their freedoms and the speed and the fact that now anything a black person says, just about, people are jumping through hoops to make changes. But instead of using it wisely for a few of the things that I'm talking about here, it's being used to abuse, to call, to say, call white people just the most horrible things. You want them to be sorry that they're white, that they were born white. You want them to pay for atrocities of the past. Well, if they need to pay, then so do the African kings that were selling the slaves to the white people. You need to know your history, black people. And I find sometimes a lot, especially with black Americans, the reason why all you all talk about, in my opinion, is racism is because you don't know your culture. You have nothing else to talk about. Do you really know your culture? Most black Americans don't know culture. You think of people from the islands and stuff like that, they just don't, they know their culture. In schools in Jamaica, they teach about, they don't just talk about being a slave and this is what happened. They spoke about how Jamaicans fought for their freedoms. We learn about the great heroes who fought for their freedom, who had to, they sacrificed their lives for freedom. And that's why island people have a different mentality. That's why you'll find even people from Haiti, they have a fantastic history of how they fought for their freedom and they were willing to die for that. Whereas in America, black people were just they didn't fight for their freedoms. They were freed, they were emancipated by a white person. Okay? And I'm not saying that this is a bad thing, but what I'm saying is you didn't die for your freedoms. You were emancipated. All it took, guys, was somebody was there for them to be a meeting, an agreement, and the pen. Changes to the amendment. So this thing, these people that's attacking this guy, I'm telling you, they're painting a pit. They're accelerating the change that's going to come. Understand that how right now white people can be public enemy number one at the behest of a black person that just feels some type of way. Okay? Yes, there are things and racist white people that really do things, but guys, I'm telling you right now, they are the minorities. And yes, they need to be dealt with and they need to face justice, okay? But a lot of times, black people are simply crying wolf. I've said it before. And the way I know that is because you all are not nice to one another. I know it's not all black people that's this way because I am a black person. I don't hate white people. I don't hate my people. But I'm calling y'all out on this nastiness because y'all are acting as if y'all are just nice. No, you're not. A lot of you are not. You're rude with your business. You're lazy. A lot of you guys, not all. Because I know, because I go and I venture and I go out there and I get excited when I see a black business, but I go in there and I see how you guys will run over to white people but not be good to your black patrons. And I know that it can be different things because I know sometimes the black patrons will go into these black businesses wanting things cheaper but will pay full price for at another establishment that's not black. But I've gone to places where I've reserved my seats and paid ahead and go there, my seat's taken, and another black couple sitting there or a group is looking at me like, what you gonna do about it? And management is like, oh, well, just find a seat. I look at black people, they don't look at my face. They don't say good morning. The men don't open the door for the ladies. It's not a practice, okay? However, let me scale back. Not the men, but because it's not all men, okay? And it's not all black people, but it's rare, and y'all know it. Don't try it. Outside of maybe your social circles and the settings you're in, you guys know good and well that a lot of times black people don't speak to one another, and they're not kind to one another. You know that very rarely when sometimes you'll see a black man that will open the door for you and be kind for you, and they do exist. But it's rare to see the kindness. It's rare to see the courtesies. So I don't know why there is this outcry running after white people for things when you guys are rude and destructive to one another. A couple years ago, I saw somebody walk out. All these black kids walk out of class because the teacher says, "Don't you? Are you out of your cotton picking mind?" An old white lady, and then they ran with that talking about cotton picking. I wish I would have walked out of school at that age. My parents would have told me up. Cotton picking? Are you out of your cotton picking mind? That has nothing to do with slavery. That's that old school term. That stuff used to be in cartoons. But y'all jump out of school for that. But everything is N-word, 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 B-word. Y'all are disrespectful to one another. But y'all think as long as it's all in the family, it's okay. But you want respect and you want recognition and you want this and want that. But killing and beating and abusing one another, calling your kids dumb and stupid, being loud and being rough and loud. Again, not all black people do this, but a lot of y'all do. And the reason why I'm saying this is that y'all are poking the bear. Understand that this tolerance for the abuse of black people, abuse of black people abusing and mistreating and talking down white people, that's allowed right now. There is always an agenda, people, from these elites and really wealthy people we don't even know about, that controls the narrative, that controls the airwaves. And you have to understand that when you are given opportunities, you don't abuse it. And when you have people like these two monsters that beat up this old man, that triggers something. I am telling you. It makes it bad for you. It makes it bad for me. It makes it bad for our sons. Because there's already a mentality that we some knuckle dragging, black, low-brow species of people. You know why they think that? You go in a black neighborhood, stuff is dirty, all y'all blinds beat up, tore down. Y'all are aggressive and rude and mean. Come on, it's time to step out of that. Imagine if when Joseph was in Egypt, or he left Egypt, he went there with a vendetta. He's angry at Pharaoh for all that he did, and he would have never gotten in that position. When he got in that position, Joseph ruled. He was second in command because he didn't go there with a chip on his shoulder. The opportunity that Joseph was given as a Hebrew slave was rare. He didn't talk about, oh, what y'all did to my people before. And I can't believe you did this. And I can't believe you did that. Had he done that, he would have never gotten that far. But he knew how to be wise with all the opportunities that he was given. And through his consistent patterns of behavior and disciplines, and he was elevated. And because of his behavior, he was given that power. And when a famine came, he was able to bring his people and his family there and did something that helped not only the Egyptians, but other from surrounding areas who needed help during this time. But what we have right now, guys, is a bunch of Hamans. And Haman was someone who he worked for King Ahasuerus. But he was so vengeful. He just wanted to get Mordecai. He wanted revenge. That he was doing so many things that he built gallows to have Mordecai and he wanted all the Jewish people to be exterminated. And him and his family ended up being placed on the gallows. And I'm telling you guys that that's getting ready to happen to you all. If you don't understand history and you don't understand how things work, it is easy for a specific group of people to be demonized and attacked. And just like right now, how white people are just on the chopping block right now, it's going to turn around. It's going to turn around. And black people will become public enemy number one. And people are going to go along with it. Why? Because now that you all have the platforms to speak and to do things, you have people who are sitting on platforms insulting white men and women, saying all types of things, insulting somebody's father, grandfather, doing all this stuff, being nasty, being disrespectful, being vengeful. If you could sit up there and talk about you white this, you white that. If someone was to say that to you, y'all be in your feelings calling Al Sharpton, burning down your city. You're upset if a white man do this or do that to a black man, but you keep silent when a black man is beating the hell out of his wife, beating the hell out of his children. Don't say anything when Uncle Fester is over there molesting his niece and nephews and all that. It's okay. No one's gonna say anything. Covering for your sexually charged pastors, right? But if it's the white person, oh Lord. It's a problem when a white man shoots somebody, a white officer. That's not right. But there's nobody boycotting anybody that's talking about murders and killings. It's the hypocrisy that's getting me here. And I'm telling you, the actions like this, when you see black people walking up and abusing a frail person, whether he was white or not, doesn't matter. But I'm telling you how this year started out, and it's just showing black people doing stuff. Guys, things are going to change. I said it before. They're going to get sick and tired of y'all. And when the reform and when the changes come, the quote unquote reform comes, they're going to call it something else. They're going to be buzzwords like safeguarding, reform, change, domestic threats, terrorist. You understand that? And if you don't think it can't happen, if you don't think they can corral up all the black people and put us somewhere, think again. Understand the history of your country. A lot of black people don't want to read, or they just want to read books that feed into their notions. Understand the history of this country. Understand that this is a country where black people were slaves. And it was okay. Understand that this is a country that Native Americans had everything taken from them. And they were corralled and all their buffaloes destroyed. Understand the Trail of Tears. What happened there? Understand the Japanese, American Japanese, or Japanese who had nothing to do with the Pearl Harbor bombing, who were corralled and put in tenement camps, concentration camps. Well, they're not called concentration camps, but they were put in these places away from everybody else, under the authority of the president. You think that stuff can't happen again if y'all are considered threats? If people are seeing you on the world stage all dressed up in suits and ties and heels, disrespecting white people, cursing them out, getting them canceled. Recently, this little kid was being called a racist because somebody chose to focus on just the one side of his face. He was at a football game and he had the football colors on, the team colors of red and black on his face. This person gets on there and focus on the black side of his face, picking on a kid who turns out he's not even, he has Native American, he's Native American. People are going to get tired because what is happening, opportunities that has been given to black people, you're full of bitterness and hatred and resentment, and you're allowing it to destroy what can verily have been a platform for change and for true reform and for true diversity. Stop acting like y'all the only ones that were ever slaves. You were not. You're not the only slaves. They were white slaves. Stop acting like slavery was just this thing. Slavery was as common as people owning having housekeepers or a vacuum cleaner. That was just how things were. I am not in any way trying to dilute it, because horrible things happened to slaves. They were mistreated, they were sexually assaulted. They even had times how people would be at a carnival, little black kids will be there with their faces in the hole, and people throwing a little ball to hit them in the face. Little baby black babies were used as alligator bait. Black men were humiliated when they would break the buck. That means they were sodomized by their slave masters or whoever in front of their children and their family. All this stuff has happened. It's horrible. But black people, you weren't there and you don't know anything about that. You've never been lashed except by your own black people, your own black families. Carrying on the master's same behavior, beating your children half to death, leaving scars on them like they're slaves. Let's be real. And it just seems like everybody wants somebody to be mad at. That's how it comes off to me. You want to be mad at white people, but you're nasty to one another. You want to holler about slavery, but you keep using the N-word. That came from slave masters. And don't say that, oh, it means something different. No, it doesn't. It is not a term of endearment that you needed to change it to make it into something good. You're still enslaved in many ways in your mind and in the music and the things that you promote. Yes, things happen in the hood and we need to know about it, but isn't there anything positive that happened? Guys, trust me when I tell you, changes are going to come. And I want to talk to those of you who will hear my voice. Don't follow this angry mob. Don't do it. Because when the wrath of God comes down, because God does not want us to be hateful. You don't fight racism with racism. You don't fight hate with hate. And I understand that when you put your hands to do these things and to destroy people, because even people who had no issues with black people, they are being affected by them. White people who are all about black people are changing their minds because there's an entitlement and there's a nastiness. You want to sit there and hold present white people responsible for things for people that they didn't even know. Well, what about your old raping uncles? Should you be held accountable for that uncle? Should you be held accountable for the current people that you have right now who's sitting in jail, who's sitting in prison, who stole someone's land, who went and destroyed stuff, went to people's jobs and destroyed their property? Should you pay for that? Should you pay for that family member that went and stole from the people across the street? Should you be making penitence for those things? Should you be responsible? Should someone be responsible if they come from a family of violent, vicious people, but they decided to make a change for themselves? Are they responsible for that? Are you responsible? Should you be shot down? Should you be followed in a store because of the other black person who did this? Should we be frowned upon as a people on a whole, your uncles, your fathers, because of these two sea donkeys that went out there and beat up that frail man with dementia? Well, you guys should know what that's like. We should know what that's like. They make assumptions. It has to stop. And again, I'm saying it again, black people, not everybody's going to get along with it. They'll call me all types of names because that's the other nature of a lot of black people, to try to taunt you, to become aggressive and to threaten you, whatever. What I will say is this. Think about what's being done. Look, open your eyes. Get out that mob, because when the change comes, you want God's grace and mercy to be on your side. Because if you are part of the problem, you were there attacking and doing things wrong and following along and pushing the envelope in this manner and pushing hatred and and tormenting your bosses on the job, because some of y'all do that. You're lazy at work, not doing the things you need to do, and you have your boss in fear. And you wonder why other black people can't get a job, because you have Ray Ray and them at work acting crazy. And the white people feel like their hands are tied, because if they say something, then Al Sharpton and the gang coming through the door, or they're going to be sued and there's going to be a lawsuit, because nobody wants to say anything to a black person. Understand that that's going to change. You see different people of different cultures, different nationalities being demonized and tormented and attacked, and some places killed. Understand that people getting ready to turn the tables on black people. And you can sit there all you want and talk about, oh, what not gonna happen, what you're not gonna do anything. You will be brought under control. There will be reforms and there will be changes that's going to come. And the world is going to go along with it. And you're going to understand that the power of the military and the power of the government. And a lot of y'all are not going to fight. You're going to act up, but you can be easily controlled. Please understand that. You're living in a country that can send armies, just a fraction of their armies, and subdue an entire country. It's not hard to do here. When you have been deemed and considered and labeled a public threat, a public menace. And people are going to go along with it because some people already don't like black people, just because. And then there are going to be others that's going to remember the abuse. There's going to be others who genuinely helped. They're going to remember how they were just dogged out and they were attacked, and how they lost their job and how they were accused when all they wanted to do was help. Get out of this entitlement. No one owes you anything. Go get a job. Go get your education. There's people that's blackity black. They're shoe black. They are Darth Vader black, that comes into America and do better and surpass black Americans. So cut it out. There's people that's come from third world countries that's doing it. What is that about? Because they're hungry, because they don't have it. They don't have it like that in their countries. Everybody, you're over here crying and mad about everything. Why? Because in my opinion, black Americans never had to fight for yourselves. You were just emancipated. The few who were willing to fight, like Nat Turner and those guys that got executed and killed, they were not the majority. There were just a few of them that was like, let's fight, let's do this. But they couldn't overcome. You see, they couldn't overcome everybody because black Americans didn't come together. They didn't want to come together. They were too scared. Fear. So maybe the 12, the 15, the 20 out of the majority, can you imagine if everybody rose up like they did in Jamaica and in other places? Can you imagine how they did when America got tired and they fought against the Spanish? That's what they did down in Texas. So because, in my opinion, that mentality, there's this constant whining and blaming. And you did this, you did this, you did this. You owe us. They don't owe you nothing. Go back to Africa, to those people, and track down the families of those kings, because a lot of them are still alive. The families are, and still wealthy. Go to these countries and get your reparations there. Stop being selective. And learn your history and learn your culture. Because the reason why, in my opinion, so many people will harp on slavery is because you don't know anything else. You just know your block, your zip code, and your uncle down south. But you don't know yourself. You don't know your culture. You don't know where you're from. That's why there's either two extremes. Black Americans always talk about being kings and queens, or talk about slavery. You don't know anything else. And then when you really delve into it to ask them deep information about the Egyptians, they don't know anything. And then they'll be arguing with actual Egyptians, talk, oh, we were black and we were this. Learn your stuff, learn your history, get a book, sit down somewhere and read. Stop listening to podcasts and getting amped up by videos. It's time to sit and read and learn your history. Because one of the things that a lot of people say about black people, and it's not even true, is that black people are dumb. They're like, y'all dumb, y'all lowbrow, y'all stupid. People gonna say anything to y'all. You get emotional. Just say cry racism. Just throw a racism bone at all of them. Get all emotional and stupid. And you see it. You see a man in a three-piece suit. Oh, talk about racism. You see him get real mad. His eyes get big. The women get nasty. And what do they start to do? The gaslighting. They're sitting there with that white person or whatever race it is. And what do they start to do? When they don't really know if there's a disagreement, or they can't explain themselves, or they don't like what's being said, or they can't fight against the facts. When someone who's educated sits and talks to them, they begin to gaslight. They start taunting. They start teasing. They start repeating themselves over and over again. If you say so, and digging in, being in this way, right? Why do they get to the gaslighting? Why do they start insulting? Why do they start smirking? Why do they do that? Because that's how your parents treated you, some of you. You used to being gaslit by your mother, your father, your uncle, your friends. When your feelings were hurt, when there were things that bothered you, you're used to a family member that act like that's not reality. They'll downplay your feelings. They'll gaslight you. They telling you that you're being a punk. They'll tell you that you're being a sissy. They tell you that you need a man up. They tell you all the stuff. You learn those things. Then we learn all the mama jokes at school, how to insult one another, gaslight, insult. Yeah. So then now you get dressed up and you become educated, but you carry that underbelly behavior with you, right? These individuals. So then when you see them on a public setting, you see them get to that insulting. You see that on radio stations. You call in and you talk. If they don't like what you said, they cuss you out. The knuckle dragging come out. There needs to be a change, because at the core of it all the stuff about this love for white, love for black, no, it's not. A lot of times it's people full of trauma and hurt, and you rather hurt the white people, but you're gonna keep hurting yourselves. You're going to keep abusing yourselves, but it doesn't matter if it's us, but if it's them, it's a problem. No, you're broken. You're full of hurt. And that resentment, that hurt, that pain. You think about it, you didn't spend your life around any white people. You're not on any plantation anywhere. A lot of your hurt and pain was in your own communities, within your own people, because people wants to be angry instead of getting to the bottom of where the root causes of things came from. It wasn't a white man beating you half to death. It was your family. It was people that look like you. It wasn't white people telling me how dark I was. It was black people. It wasn't white people asking me if my hair is a wig. It was black people. They couldn't believe my hair was that nice. Oh, I didn't know dark-skinned people could have nice hair like that. Oh, you're pretty to be dark. Come on. It was y'all. And I don't hate you, because I know that's a black American thing. That wasn't going on in my family. We had all shades in my family. And my lighter skinned cousins wasn't saying anything bad about me. We loved each other. We cared for each other. We've got a mix in our family. Our family is very diverse. There are very many different shades of Jamaicans and different shades of family members. We have Japanese in the family. That's us. I don't see color. And that's why even when I do my videos and I do my stock footage, people, oh, I ain't choose black people. Why doesn't matter? I'm not even thinking about that. I just look for what is the theme. And if I see a picture where there's a white person, black person, I just use people. I'm not color conscious. I don't hate people because, oh, someone chose a white person or Asian person. Oh, they don't love themselves. Has nothing to do with that. Are there some precautions that needs to be taken? In some cases, yes. But it's boils down to hatred, anger, and a lot of it is displacement. Because within the Black community, your hurt and your pain stems down from that father, that mother, that caregiver, your neighbors, your friends who abused you and did stuff wrong to you. And then that anger goes out to the playground, and it goes on the block, and then it goes on the streets or wherever it may be. And then you take it into work, and then you hate the white person for it. Who is beating you? The white guy that you're hating? What did this white man, this frail white man, do to deserve that? Was he the one was he responsible for slavery? Was that going through their mind? You old white slave master? Is that it? Mark my words. Things are going to go into effect. There'll be a switch, a change in leadership. And things are going to go into effect. And this Black movement and Black Lives Matter, all that's going to go right out the window. Because the people that are on the highest echelon, the top 1%, they allow this whole pro-Black stuff to go because it fits an agenda. But y'all getting out of hand now. So they're going to change it. And the way that's going to change is people need to see Black people on a public stage acting a sea donkey. To say, oh, see, we have to change it. They're a threat. And you know what? People are going to sign off on it. And understand, slavery ended with a signature. And other things can come into effect again with a signature. Stop it, guys. I'm telling you, I'm not telling you to sit and be afraid. I'm not telling you to cower. I'm not telling you that you have to sit there and be like, oh, please, oh. I'm not telling you to do that. You do need to speak out about things that are wrong. You do need to bring attention to injustices, but there's a way to do it. There's a way to do things. I'm not telling you to sit on your hands and bury your head in the sand. Absolutely not. But this vile behavior, this abuse, it's time to start looking within your communities. You need to start calling Black people out for their behavior. And what those two mongrels did to that white man further reinforces the precautions and the side eyes that we will get as Black people, because there was no reason for it. And there's already a strike against Black people, period. Especially if you're dark. It is a worldwide thing. But you know what? Your mannerisms, the way you carry yourself, can change the heart, can change the minds of people. But what are we seeing now? Just the end of Christmas. A brother shot and killed his sister while she's holding a baby. Just killed her over Christmas gifts. Now we see these two wide neck, wide shouldered, big burly dudes grabbing a white man, throwing him down on the ground. And you know what? Not all Black men are this way, but they have made it hard for the other brothers, for other men that looks like that, who are gentle giants and actually care. Made it that much harder for them. Changes are coming. Make sure you're on the right side of things. And that means being on the God side of things. Do unto others the things that you will have them to do unto you. God is not telling us to go and be hateful. God is not telling us to be racist. God is not telling us to get revenge. Mark my words, it's going to come. And when you do things the right way, God will give you grace. God will give you favor. God will place his favor upon your family. And those of you that's hateful and thinking you can sit on these platforms and say all these things and make these threats and laugh about it and think nothing is going to happen, what you sow, you shall reap. It may not be the same way, but it's going to come and it will be in your lineage. All right, guys, that's all I have.